All right, so I just want to welcome everyone to our new partner interview section of our new podcast series as well. So we basically just want to get to know some of the partners that we get to partner with and in their countries, and tell us a little bit about your experience and a little bit about your success. So our first partner will be Damien from Interface.
Yeah, Damien.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a privilege to be here with you.
Yeah, we are really glad that you join us today, and you are like a pioneer in a new version of our podcast when we can talk with our partners, share their experience, and I'm really glad that you are with us today. So, in a couple of words, tell us something about your company, your experience, so basic information about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Damien Edwards. I'm the commercial manager of the business. I set the business up. We've been a Bitrix partner for 10 years. Actually, I think slightly longer than 10 years. So we started right at the beginning when the cloud product came out, and certainly the product's evolved over those 10 years. It's got a lot better. So yeah, we're based in the UK, but we have branches in the US and the Far East, and we sell. Of course, we sell Bitrix, we sell implementation, we sell the support packages. We do the whole thing, and we have a couple of other sort of products that we build in house that plug into Bitrix that we sell as well.
Yeah, and the topic we want to discuss with you today is actually the client acquisition, how to work with clients. Because I know you have a great process in working with clients, with retention, and that's what we want to get your expertise on that topic. And the first question I want to ask you, it's pretty broad, but how do you get your clients? What are the channels you use to acquire clients and leads?
Yeah, absolutely. So on top of the obvious, the Bitrix 24 profile page, which we get a reasonable amount of leads through the profile page. People, all your amazing marketing attracts a lot of clicks, I imagine, to your website, and we get a few of those inquiries, of course. And then you've got the implementation service. So, but on top of that, we do quite a bit ourselves. I think we do quite a bit in order to attract new leads, but also to build our own credibility. So when we get an inquiry, we want to be able to say to people, look, we're experienced. We've got a lot of experience. We can handle this project for you and have that sort of credibility. So all the sort of activity we do is aimed at generating new leads, but building that credibility for us. So I think, I'd say that the best channel we have for new leads is YouTube. So we produce short videos. We do webinars, long webinars, and in different subjects, and we do those every 2 weeks. But we also produce quite a lot of short videos, 3 to 5 minutes, just explaining how you can use Bitrix. And we get a lot through that. They've probably already been to your website, to bitrix24.com. They've probably got a bit of a flavour for the product, and then they want to talk to somebody about it. And so we produce a lot of videos that help us rank in certain search terms. So I think YouTube is really good for us. Of course, we do all the normal social media. We try to post every day about Bitrix. We do e-shots, of course. So we've built up our customer base over 10 years, and we try and feed information, new features and things into that customer base. Some of them have looked at Bitrix a long time ago, but there's still potential prospects for us to come back at some point. So we do e-shots. We do some local events, but to be honest, we don't do a lot of face-to-face. So we do face-to-face when we're demoing, but in terms of sort of exhibitions and getting out there and doing events, in-person events, we don't do as much as we'd like to. But we're going to try and build that up, I think. But also cross-selling. So we do sell a couple of other products that plug into Bitrix, and we might get an inquiry just for that product and not necessarily for Bitrix. And so we try and then manage the account and try and cross-sell them onto Bitrix as well. But I would say the number one avenue, the number one for us is YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. I just have a quick follow-up on that as well. When you are getting these new clients, what does your nurture process for your new leads look like? Is there certain things you look for in a company beforehand? Is there certain things you research? What does your nurture process with the leads look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. You say, are there certain things we look for in a company? We do a certain amount of qualification. I would say that, when we first started, or in the first few years, we decided we would focus on the on-premise edition because they've got more money to spend. It's more complex to implement, so they generally don't do it themselves, so they need a partner. But more recently, over the last few years, we've really focused more on both solutions, on the on-premise and on the cloud. So we used to kind of qualify people out a little bit. We don't really do that now, although we could probably come on to it. But we do try and look at is there a good business case? So we try and look at what the customer's proposing, and we look at what it's going to cost to implement it. And if we think there's a good business case for that, then we proceed forward. We sometimes try and qualify out opportunities where they're proposing something that's going to cost a lot of money, and we don't think it's going to bring a lot of value. Because what you tend to do is you go down a long process, and you get to a point where somebody within that organization says, look, hang on, we're not spending this money on this. It doesn't add value. It doesn't bring enough value. So we do qualify out some, but we tend to follow up almost everything. Certainly in the beginning, and we have conversations with pretty much everyone. But I think that the main thing is, the process we follow when we get a new lead is to do some background research. So before we spoke to them, find out about their business, go on the internet and look at their website. We then do and this is the really key part. I'm sure other partners are all doing this, or most of them are doing this, but we do a discovery call where it gives us an opportunity, first of all, I think, to build some rapport with the customer, so we can get to know them, they can get to know us. But of course, we're doing it to learn about their business. So we want to find out what it is they do, what systems they use at the moment, what the problems are with their systems. So we try and focus in on what the pain points are, what's brought them to talk to us today, what's brought them to look at Bitrix 24, and what's brought them over to talk to us. So we try and find out what those sort of critical issues are. We're going to use that information to put together a demo. We're going to try and show them in the demo just those sort of main critical issues. We also, during that sort of like that pre-demo stage, we want to establish if they've got a budget. It can be a bit tricky, but try and establish how much they've got to spend. And it's a good question to ask. And you can frame it by saying something like, just want to understand how much the budget is for this project, because we've got different options we can offer you. If your budget's quite low, we're going to go with one option. If you've got more of a budget, we can offer you a more advanced solution. So I think knowing how much they've got to spend potentially can qualify them out if they haven't got the money, but it will allow you to then propose the right solution. We always want to propose the on-premise, of course. But yeah, so we find out about the budget. We want to find out about their decision-making process, if we can, who's involved in making a decision, if you think the product's right for you, and also time frames as well, because sometimes it's very, very early stages and they're not looking to make a decision for a significant amount of time. Wouldn't put us off. We'd still do the demo, but we just need to know. I think probably if they're looking to make a decision, some time in the future, we'd probably spend less time on that opportunity. We'd do a demo. We'd probably diarise to follow them up a bit nearer the time when they're ready to move ahead. But we do. I think that's the really key part, that the qualification part, understanding about their business, most important bit.
Yeah, I got it. You made a great point about talking to decision makers in the company, and in my experience, sometimes people who make decisions in companies are not the people who are involved in implementing Bitrix 24. So, for example, we got a CEO of some company, and he just signed the paper, and he doesn't really choose the product. He doesn't maybe know anything about it, but he is the direct decision maker. And you got the head of the IT department, who actually want to push Bitrix 24 and this company. So have you ever had this type of situation? How can you handle when the direct decision maker is different from the person who actually tries to implement Bitrix 24 in this company?
Yeah, there's all different scenarios, aren't there? I mean, quite often you'll speak to an IT manager and they'll be pitching your product to somebody else that's not on the call. So we do try and ask if we can get, people that are involved in making decisions on the demo. But of course, the CEO just might flat refuse to go on a demo. They've probably got other things to do. So it can be difficult. It can actually be quite difficult if you're speaking to the boss of a company and not the IT manager. The other way around. If you're just speaking to the boss of a company, they generally don't have a lot of time to really understand what you're trying to explain to them. And they're probably not technical people, so they don't really understand. When you explain to them that actually to customize that's going to be quite complex, it's going to take quite a bit of time, it's going to cost you money, they don't understand that. So yeah, there's not really one ideal situation. I think also if you've got everyone on the call, that can be a problem. We've done demos with 10 people on or more. And then it's very difficult for them to make a decision. There's too many people involved in making the decision. So there's no real perfect scenario. But I think for us, if you're speaking to the IT manager, a technical person who understands, that's really good. Or if you're speaking to kind of a champion, so if you've got maybe a sales manager or just a sales guy within a team who's really keen on implementing it, if he's a good salesperson, he'll have influence in the business. He'll be respected, so they can be quite good champions for you. But yeah, it's difficult to you end up pitching and to somebody who's then got to pitch, to the decision maker. And I think what you can try and do, if you can give them some key points, key benefits of the product, and maybe give them some indication on how long it's going to take to get a return on the investment, then you can arm them with that sort of information, so then go and pitch it to their decision maker. But it can be difficult, and it can be frustrating as well, because you spend time talking to somebody that can't give you a go ahead. So yeah, try and get them on the call wherever possible. Maybe try and justify it, saying, we maybe say, look, we can only do, we're busy or something, we can only do kind of one demo. So is it possible to get everyone on this demo so everyone can see what we're proposing?
Sure. No, that's great advice right there. And I have something to follow up with as well, because we're saying the word demo a lot. What do you think for you makes a good demo of a product, and what's the most, what do you like to get out of a demo that you like to actually pass on to your potential clients and companies that you work with? And again, how important is that demo overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've suggested that the discovery call is the most important part. It sort of is, because if you don't understand what the customer requirements are, you can't demo it to them. So you've got to know what they want. But of course, you've got to put together a good demo. Go in prepared. Do your discovery call. Don't miss that step, so you understand their requirements. I think we also try and connect with the contacts, as many people as possible on LinkedIn, and we try and invite, where we can, invite people to the demo. So connect with the people that you're going to be talking to on LinkedIn and other platforms. Build a demo around the requirements that you've discussed. So don't and I think probably a mistake we made in the beginning, showing doing an overview of the product and talking through feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. It doesn't really work. You don't need to show that much of the product, but instead you need to just understand their requirements and go through a sort of use case, a story, if you like, from start to finish, and that will give them an idea of what the product can do. But I think a big mistake is listing out every single feature and clicking on everything and showing them everything. You definitely don't want to be doing that. What we would do before we start the demo, I should say, is to start with some slides about us and about Bitrix. So we'll try and establish the credibility of Bitrix. There's loads of information we can give that gives, establish that credibility, and then we want to establish our credibility as well. So I think there's lots of good software out there. Bitrix is a fantastic product. There's lots of good software out there, though. I think the key bit we try and put across is who you work with to implement it. So we try and build our credibility and say, you've got to work with somebody who understands the product. So we try and establish us as experts in the sector. Focus on, I've said it before, but focus on those critical issues. So focus on the pain that they're having at the moment with their current system. Try and just drill into that pain a little bit and ask questions like, what would happen if you weren't able to get this problem resolved? What would it be like in 12 months' time if you weren't able to? What would that cost the business? And things like that, so they can really sort of start to really sort of focus them on the pain to create that kind of urgency, because it is quite difficult. You can do a discovery call, you can do a demo, but then getting them to commit, because it's quite a difficult decision to make, I think, for some businesses, because it's quite abstract. It's very difficult to compare one software product with another software product, so they find it difficult sometimes to make a decision. So you need to really focus on what they're losing out on, what they're not, the advantage they're not going to gain from if they don't, make a decision to move from what they're on at the moment. So yeah, I'd say, just build a demo around the critical features, and always get some commitment at the end. Commitment to a follow-up call. You're not going to probably not going to get a sale, although you can get a sale on the demo, but certainly gain some commitment. When are we going to speak again? What do you need to do on your side? Okay, then when should we speak again? So we always try and get commitment at the end of the demo for a follow-up call. You don't want to follow up on email. I'm sure everyone knows this, but you don't want to follow up on email. You want to follow up on a phone call with them, talk to them face to face. Yes. That'd be my advice.
Yeah, and you just made a great point about other products, because probably when we are on a demo with a company, they may consider already some other products. So how in this case you can differentiate Bitrix 24 from other products they may be considering?
Yeah, so I think during your discovery, if you can find out what other products they're looking at, that's going to be helpful. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't, of course. So knowing what you're up against is helpful. I think generally what we find is Bitrix is relatively simple and quick to implement. So that's a big deal, because people are worried about the time it's going to take and the cost. But because there's two sides to these costs, aren't there? There's the cost that the customer has to pay. Well, they have to pay the license, and they have to pay a partner to implement it. But then in addition to that, they've got all these internal costs, which are kind of invisible. And I think it's worth pointing that out to the customer. There's going to be some time that your guys internally are going to have to spend implementing this. So there's a reasonable amount of cost. So you want to be able to implement it quickly. You want to be able to have a system that is going to be up and running, and you'll be gaining value from as quickly as possible. And I think that's the case with Bitrix. It is simple to customize. If you compare with things like Salesforce, of course, and bigger ones, and Dynamics, and of course SAP and things like that, we much simpler products. But then there's other products out there that are simpler. But I think it's worth really focusing on that. Simple and quick to implement. Of course, you guys talk a lot about how it's one product for your whole business. So it is multi-featured, isn't it? So you can replace multiple systems with one product. Not only does that save you money, it means they're all connected up better, but it's just less admin to manage for your staff, isn't it? Having multiple systems, multiple bills, multiple problems, dealing with multiple suppliers, support teams is I think that's a big feature. So we push that. We've always pushed as well on-premise and the open code nature, how it can be customized. And there's certain Depends who you're talking to. You're talking to somebody who needs to know where their data is held. They want it installed on their own server. Then it's a no-brainer. Bitrix is really quite unique, I think, in that respect. There's not that many on-premise solutions you can offer. The flexibility, the open code aspect of it, if you want to do any sort of like complex customizations, it can all be done. And once you've gone down that road with a customer talking about customizing at the code level, you tend to be able to win it because they can't really find another product that can be customized like that. Of course, there are some, but not that many. So which are customers decided they need quite a complex, unique implementation of customization. Bitrix is a really good fit. So quick to implement, simple to customize, replace multiple systems, and then the unique features of Bitrix on premise and open code, I think, are the areas we focus on.
But I guess my follow-up question was going to be, we did cover a lot of information on onboarding new clients. How do you retain the clients that you already have, and how do you work with retention?
Yeah, I think we hand over from a what we call a customer success manager, project manager, someone who does the implementation. We hand over from them to an account manager. So they get a single point of contact that they have for life. But I think the key thing with retention for us is sell them a support package. So you provide support, but I think you'll admit that it's a basic level of support. I mean, it's normal. I think the support package you offer is the same as you get with any other product, but it's ticketing support or chat support, and it's going to be relatively limited because you can't spend the time we can spend understanding the customer's individual requirements or how the business works. So if you've done a whole implementation and set it up and train them, sell them a support package, because I think if you're charging them 2,000 or 3,000 a year for support, they've got more skin in the game. They're going to want the system to work for them, but they're going to use it. So we find that if we sell them on a support package, they tend to renew much more than those that don't. So we sell them on a support package. Get a champion inside the business. So that's probably not the account, that's probably not the IT manager or the CEO, but probably if it's a CRM system you're doing, it's probably a sales guy. And it doesn't have to be the sales manager, it's probably one of the guys in the team. And they understand the product really well. They're a big champion for the product in the business, but they can help support people. Because I think if you've got somebody in the business that knows how it works really well, then they can make those little changes themselves. See, one of the complaints I think you can get is people saying, well, it doesn't quite do what I want it to do. So Bitrix is not a very good product, or it's not right for us. But it can always do what they want it to do, nearly always. Just needs to be configured. And I think if you've got a support package and we can help them do that, but if you've got a champion, if you try to set up a champion in that business that understands it, they can do all those little tweaks to the system to get it working just how they want it. And you'll find if you have a champion, they'll set up loads of automation, loads of processors, and they'll really get into it. And then the users will see the value in that. So I think account management, get a champion, sell them a support package, and I think finally just go on site if you can, go and see them, meet them face to face. People trust people face to face much more, and I think you need a lot of trust when you're implementing software, because you've got to believe what people are going to tell you, because the customer can't check is what he's telling me correct. So you can't check everything. It's impossible. They've just got to trust. They've got to trust you. So go on site, either go on site at the beginning or go on site, certainly do the training on site with the users. Yeah,
that's a great process that you have there, like from demos from client acquisition to growing your accounts. I have a question about how do you measure your success? So companies usually have metrics or measurements just to say if they are doing a good job or a bad job. Do you have something of that?
Yeah, I think we like to close when we get to a demo stage, we like to close at least 1 in 3. I suppose it depends on how many you're qualifying out. If you're qualifying loads out and you only go for the ones that are really good fits and you know we've got the budget, you should be able to sell more of those. But I think if you can sell 1 in 3, you demo. Sell 1 in 3. If you can sell 1 in 3 that you demo, then you'll grow your business quickly. And then we monitor how long we're keeping people. We just spoke about sell them a support package. Sell them a support package, you get more money, of course, but you keep them for longer. So we would say try and sell at least 1 in 3 and keep the customer for 5 years. There is quite a lot of effort goes in the beginning in winning the sale and then implementing it. Hopefully you've charged reasonable and sufficient amount to do the implementation, but you want to get that renewal. So it's even if the implementation goes a little bit not as planned, I think it's worth just going a bit out of your way to resolve any issues they've got, even if it's not within scope, the original scope of work. It's probably worth just having a happy customer, and then you can keep them on that renewal. Renewals are easy, aren't they? If you've got happy customers, renewals are easy money. You can make that money every year. So try and close 1 in 3 and try and keep them for 5 years. I would say we've got some we've had for much more than 5 years. But still, we have some that don't all renew. But try and keep them for 5 years. I would say that's sort of our target.
Sure, no, that's good advice as well. I just have a kind of a question regarding the sectors and the fields of which you're seeing success lately. Is there anything in a specific industry or sector where you're seeing maybe a little bit more of a boom that they need implementation and they need your services?
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the sort of sectors that have got, ideally looking at sectors that have got more money to spend, I think. So we find that in the UK, there's some manufacturing businesses that probably not as profitable as they used to be. And so they tend to not want to spend the same amount of money. We think that any technology business, any software business, any creative agency, creative businesses, they're all really good. So those sort of like creative or technology businesses we've found to be really good. But of course, if you're talking to a bank, if you're talking to a government team, then government department, then they've all got the money to spend. So we produce a lot of videos and a lot of content, but we talk about Bitrix and not necessarily about how it works for individual sectors. We've done a little bit of it. We've got some sector solutions on our website, but we're not really targeting one individual sector. So I think you'll probably, I don't know what you think, but I think you'll probably find they come in from all different sectors. But it's got to be one that's got it's got to be one that's got the money to spend, and they can see the value in it. So technology, creative agencies are all good for us.
Yeah, I got a question regarding like demos and maybe even background checks. We always advise when you have a demo to show the instruments for collaborative work, your chats, your video calls and stuff like that, because companies can come with specific pain points like their CRMs and you can name it, but these tools keep the company with Bitrix 24. They let them stay with Bitrix 24. Do you agree with that point? And how much of a role collaborative tools play in demo?
Yeah, absolutely. So you might be showing somebody, it's usually a solution or solution for project management, and you might be showing them that the standard CRM demo. But yeah, I think you can touch on. I mentioned earlier, try to just focus on the critical issues. Don't show them everything. But I do think it's worth showing them some of the really good tools. SPAs are something we nearly always show. And it's real. It can be a real wow moment for people when they see that. If you set an SPA up for a particular process that they've got that they're having a problem with, it's really good because it's fully customizable, isn't it? You can create it exactly the way you want it, and then show them all the automation they can do in that. So I think and when we have conversations with customers about and show them an SPA, they start to realise that actually they can use SPAs for this and this and this and this and this, and there's loads of areas in a business they can use SBA. So we always try and show an SBA. We'll always show the automation. Now we want to show AI tools. Of course, everyone wants to. Everyone knows they need to be implementing AI somehow, but no one really knows how to do it yet. So show them the AI tools, and I think, as you mentioned, communication tools. We've got one customer who's got 500 users on the system, and they only use it for chat on the mobile. That's all they use it for. They've got an on-premise edition, but they have to have their data stored on their own servers, and they just use it for chat, instant messaging, and that's it. So. Show the communication tools. I think those like collaboration tools. Those It's not something that somebody would come to you and say, "Can you show me a messenger app or messenger solutions?" But it's so they're not asking for it, but you should show them that. So I'd say SBAs and automation and collaboration communication tools.
Yeah. And as far as just like you said, you did work with someone that, you needed to implement, they have 100 people using Bitrix 24 chat. Are there any other cool or interesting use cases that you can talk about that might be interesting to our partner network?
Yeah, we deal with all sorts of different types of businesses. We did a big intranet system for the Commonwealth, and so they closed nearly all their offices after COVID. Or they had dozens of offices around the world, kept the big ones and closed the rest of them. So they needed a platform to collaborate on. So that was a really good project because it was really big and high profile, big organization. And we showed a lot of value. I'll tell you one of the other ones we did, which I always like to talk about. We developed and this is an interesting use case, but it's not what you would expect. But we developed a back end it was for the civil service in the UK, and we developed a back end tool that connected up all their other tools that allowed people to book onto a training course, basically. So when someone books on a training course, they needed to book a training room, they needed to book a trainer, the person to deliver the course, and they needed to book any props and food and things like that. So there's a few different things that need to happen. And they need to take a payment and things like that. And they had all these different systems, and they had a team of about 45 people inputting into each system every time somebody booked onto a course. So we built this essentially just a back end with a front end user interface where they could just see the status of stuff and change the status of stuff. And it connected with all their other systems. Essentially, it closed down their whole office of 45 people who were processing these orders. So it replaced a significant number of people, and it delivered a better service as well. So it's not what really you'd expect from Bitrix, because really when you looked at it, it didn't look much like Bitrix. It was an on-premise edition. We took out nearly everything and just showed them 2 or 3 menu items. So it's always worth having a conversation, even if it doesn't sound like it's the right tool, especially with the on-premise, because you can do anything, can't you, with it? They're all different though. They all seem to be different. They all come from different parts of the world and different types of industries, and all got different requirements. So that's part of the hard bit, isn't it? I think, because you've got to learn something new. You've got to pitch something new every time. It's not like doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah,
that's a great point right here. Like, I think we can go on and on like forever, because it's like such a big pleasure talking to you, Damien. And this is probably one of many podcasts that we're going to do with you and your company. So I think the last question, I think we should end on like high motivational note. So you've been our partner for a long time. You've been a long time decorated partner. If you could give yourself like 3 advices, like 3 major changes that you know right now that you didn't know like 10 years ago, what would they be?
I think I touched on it before, but what we used to do was demo almost the whole product, and that's wrong. You need to find out what they want and just demo those features. So I think only show the relevant features, don't show everything, and focus on the benefits of those features rather than just the benefits to the business rather than just listing our features. So to try and show it a little bit less on a demo. And this is difficult to do, but like I mentioned before, like focus on their pain, what the pain they're experiencing with their current system, and try and show them how we can provide a solution to that, because that people will really feel that emotionally. And we try and tell a story really with the demo. So start with a whole process as they would experience it if they're using the product. So they make them feel like they are, or potentially already using the product. So tell the story as it is. So really the demo, I think those sort of areas of the demo where you've really got to think it through, and I guess see it from the customer's perspective. What are they wanting to see? They're not wanting to see an overview of Bitrix. If they say, you ask them what do you want to see, and they say I want to see everything, that's a problem. I think you've got to really drill down into what it is they want to see, and just try and show them what they want to see. So I think the key bits: try and show them what they want to see. Really work on that demo. But the other side of it, which we've got better at over the years, is account management. So just once you've got the account on, you can't forget about that account. You can't assume that they're just going to renew. Bitrix is a great product, but other people are knocking on the door, or they'll have a problem and then they'll decide that Bitrix doesn't do what they want it to do, but it does. So do that account management piece so that you're always in regular contact with them. That means that you're more likely to, if you've got a good relationship, more likely to get a renewal. But you can also grow the business. You can ask them, your account manager can ask them, well, which other teams that they're not using Bitrix. Quite often we'll have a project management solution that will deliver, and there's a sales team using Salesforce or something. With good account management, you can get more people onto the system. It might not mean more money, might not necessarily mean more money if they don't need to upgrade the license. But it means that their use case, the business case for it is better. They've got a better business case, they're more likely to renew. So yeah, it's all about getting those renewals, isn't it? I think that's the easy money, isn't it? If you can do that, that's the key part.
Yeah, I think that's some questions for you, and you answered them greatly, Damien. We do appreciate your time, and I think we got some wonderful insight that we can actually share with the rest of the partner network.
Sure, I feel like really enlightened right now. Like you shared such a great story and shared your great expertise. No. So yeah, I really appreciate you joining us today. I actually hope that we can do more. Like we already discussed some more topics we can film. And also, we want to encourage our partners. Also, if you have something to join, something to share, I think the whole community will be happy to hear your expertise, because we all got something to share. And that's great. And that's great that we can do this podcast together.
Yes. Absolutely. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Thanks very much for having me on. And yeah, hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah. Thank you, Damien. You have a good day, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.